All right. You know, it really burns me up about that Woodward story. He has the nerve to throw that out there and say, well, it's not Watergate, it's not Bill and Monica Lewinsky. You know, it's far worse than both of those. Both of those affected a small percentage, a small group of the population. Yeah, in Watergate, Nixon was trying to rig an election, but we got that in this president. Why isn't the media telling us about the fact that 115% of people, in many cases, in many precincts, voted 100% for Obama? Where's the media talking about that story? Our election's been stolen. Our electoral system is an absolute sham. This segment is all about Americans and how they must stand to defend our nation. And I say that because, listen, we are done and out of time in terms of trying to figure out what to do. We can't sit around and wait for somebody to say, yeah, we're going to suddenly start acting properly. How can you believe that that's really the case anymore? How can you believe that somebody's finally going to step up and say, you know what, that's right. For the last 100 years, we've been defrauding and misrepresenting the truth and our loyalties and our obligations to the American people. Today, we're going to turn a new leaf over and go 180 degrees in the right direction, and we're going to start telling the truth. If you expect that day to ever come, you're a damn fool. The truth is, the time has come when we have to say we're either going to make or break. We can't sit around any longer and wonder, well, who will do something? The who's are totally compromised. They're totally corrupted. Every member of Congress has either been co-opted, compromised, coerced, manipulated, sold out. I don't care whether the price of their treason was money, ego, fame, power, or just some secret they wanted kept that the NSA's got on them. But the truth of the matter is, they're not working in your best interest. They're not going to come forward and say, yeah, for the last 100 years we've been lying to you, but today, as of today, we're going to start telling you the truth. If you believe that that's going to happen, you must be living in some kind of fantasy. You're reading science fiction. Who's going to stop the tyranny and the treasonous actions of our state and our federal governments? You think the people who are committing it are going to step forward and say, that today we're turning over a new leaf? Really? It is up to us, the masses, the unwashed masses. It is up to the livestock to say, we are tired of being livestock. And we're going to revert and change our position from livestock to a position of strength and control. And we're going to reassert our domination over this government. State and federal and county and city. Take over your school board. Take over your county government. Take over your city government. You're either going to do it now while you have an opportunity to do it peacefully, or you're going to have to do it at the point of a gun in short order. We can do this via massive, peaceful, civil disobedience. Just absolute uncooperation with everything. If every member of a school in a community said to the school board, we're taking our kids out of school until you cancel Common Core and you ban its use, what would they do? What would they do? Visit everybody's house with a gun and say, little Johnny better come with me? Yeah, your kid will miss a week of school. Big deal. You'll make a point that no one will be able to deny. Go into your city, your city council. Go into your county government and say, we want to pass a resolution that says Common Core is not accepted and allowed here in any way, shape, or form. Get 10,000 signatures. I don't care if you stand on a street corner or you knock door to door. Rally some friends around you. Talk about it at a diner one night. Get on the radio. Talk to a radio host. Put it in the paper. Do whatever you got to do. But get it done. I know that's only one issue. The issues are surrounding us. They're so impressive. They're so vast. They're so mounting that it's like we've got to cross Mount Everest with bare feet in the middle of the winter. But you better start somewhere. It is up to us to take our nation back by a peaceful, civil disobedience. Massive. And if it doesn't work, then to siege those governments. Place them under siege and say, listen, here we are. We're not like the bonus marchers where there's only 30,000 of us. There's 13 million of us. And we're not leaving until you do. It's also up to us to make sure that we have the appropriate group in place to step in, because governments cannot operate in a vacuum. Nature abhors a vacuum, and it will fill it with either more traitors or the military. That's exactly what happened with Egypt. They didn't have a plan of action. 33 million out of 84 million people marched on Egypt's government and said, we've had enough with this guy Morsi. He is a traitor and a monster. He's worse than Mubarak was. 33 out of 84 million. Do the math, folks. That's what? That's about what? 44% of the country? 44% of the country stood up and said, we've had enough with this tyrant. You know what the problem was? They didn't have an interim government built, designed, and custom made to put into its place. Instead, what happened is the military took it over in a coup. And God forbid, they'll never get that back. Not civilian leadership. In this country, we don't have that as a choice because our Constitution prevents that from happening. So, where is the Tea Party? Where is the Constitution Party? Where are the parties like the libertarian groups? Why are you not all organizing, getting together, putting the heads of your Tea Party and your Libertarian and your Constitution Party together in a room and saying, we are going to collectively gather money and we are going to collectively do the following. One, we're going to take out ads in all the national papers that say, seeking qualified candidates for the new constitutional republic of the United States of America. Well, what will that serve? Well, first of all, you'll get a bunch of good qualified candidates. Then your job is to create a committee to sit down and assess who they are, interview them, qualify them, pre-vet them, and make sure that they're ready to run for that given state, locality, or whatever the case may be. Precinct. Replicate the existing government we have. 2 senators and 1 representative from each of the districts. Find those 5,000 qualified people. You only need 535 to replicate Congress. You need a president and a vice president. I don't know who they are. I don't know who they're qualified to be. But I know that I'm one voice out there, and I do know that if all of you put all of your money together, put all your power together, put all of your influence together, we would have a course of action instead of a fragmented group of people who are trying to sit there and protect their own little hamlet. I know I'm sick and tired of hearing Rush and these guys sit out there and they talk all day long, blah, 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 but not a damn one of them has come up with a legitimate plan. Well, take this one. Don't take it in total. Just take it and use it as the core, the basis, the kernel, the seed. Feed and water it, bring it to maturity. It's called the Tree of Frickin' Liberty. How do I know it's called the Tree of Liberty? Because our Constitution, our Declaration of Independence declared it to be so. when our government no longer represents us, when long-term tyranny and abuse are present, when a plan is exposed that evinces to essentially turn us all into slaves, it is our duty, it is our obligation to find new protectors, to find new leadership, to reestablish, rebuild the republic we were given. Ben Franklin said to a woman who asked, "Mr. Franklin, what have you given us in this Constitution?" And he said, "Ma'am, it's a republic, if you can keep it." The question is, do we have the courage of our convictions to keep it? Do we have the courage to say, I'm willing to put it all on the line? Our founders sat there and said, yeah, we're willing to put it all on the line. We're going to pledge our lives and our fortunes and our sacred honor. And most Americans aren't willing to stand up and pledge a ding on their credit report. What kind of a patriotic group is that? Well, where are these groups that are sitting out there calling themselves patriotic and saying, but I can't work with those people over in the Libertarian Party. We fundamentally disagree. You know, those constitutionalists, they just have this whole thing about abortion. I can't take it. You know, those Tea Party people, they just don't believe in abortion strongly enough like we do, so we're not going to communicate. Really? Well, let me tell you something. It's about time you guys all locked elbows and said, we are all Americans, and we may disagree about a bunch of junk, but the one thing we don't disagree about is the fact that this nation is existing as a police state under tyranny right now. And that we, as Americans, had better salvage that, or we will lose our freedom of speech, freedom to assemble, freedom to address our grievances with our government, freedom of speech, freedom to worship in the way in which we choose, our Second Amendment rights, our Fourth Amendment rights, our Fifth Amendment rights, our Ninth Amendment rights, 10th Amendment rights. It's all gone. All of it. Under tyranny, you can sit there and compartmentalize yourself all you want. You can have this part of the slave compound, and they'll have that part of the slave compound. But the truth is, you're all in a slave compound. Well, our ideology is different. Go ahead. Carry that ideology right into the grave. Keep pumping that kind of crap into the minds of your supporters, your followers, and we will go nowhere. You see, the time for sitting there and wringing our hands and saying, oh, well, we're doing the best we can, but, we have to do it within constraints of the law. This is the self-same law that you recognize and openly declare to be extra-constitutional and in contravention of the Constitution? Well, then stop following it. Thomas Jefferson told us a long, long time ago, when a law is passed that is outside of its constitutional authority, that law is null and void and of no effect. Thousands of administrative agencies exist under laws that don't exist because they are null and void and of no effect. We didn't give the Congress the delegated authority to subdelegate our entire nation to extra-constitutional administrative agencies. The EPA just came out with 6,000 new rules. 6,000! Tell me they're not going to affect you. Tell me they're not going to affect your insurance prices. Tell me they're not going to affect your coal prices, your energy prices. Tell me they're not going to affect whether or not you can build on a piece of land. Run your business. Americans had better get prepared. You know what? I wrote an article a while ago called The Plan to Take Back America, Place All State and Federal Capitals Under Civil Disobedience Siege. I stand by that article. It's been seen by over 100,000 people. Probably 5,000 people a month or more pick it up and read it. I'm not suggesting that this is the beginning and the end all. It's not the only plan out there. But I am going to tell you this. It does outline some basic foundational issues that need to be addressed. And one of the things I say in that is prepare yourselves for trouble, discomfort, hunger, cold, and fear. Well, let me tell you something. If we don't take action soon in a massive, peaceful, civil, disobedient uprising, you better prepare yourself for all those things anyway. The difference is that you're going to be doing it in chains instead of as free men. You're either part of the solution or you are the problem. You're not a part of the problem. You are the problem. Because when you have guilty knowledge of what has existed, what has been done to you, and you refuse to take corrective action, then you're no different than the person who's actually committing the treason. We've come to the end of a very, very long road here. And I wrote in that piece that, from this point, we go left or right. But I heard another better analogy to that. And I stand corrected because I think it even better represents the truth. We don't have, we haven't hit the end of the road here and with a choice of to go to the left or the right, like a T intersection. What we've hit is the end of the road where the choice is to go up or down. You see, this is going to take a combination of massive civil disobedience in the form of stop paying your taxes, starve the beast. Let's start with that. Go out there and change your tax exemptions on your W-9s and your W-2s to 100% so you are exempt from all federal taxation. Pay your state taxes, and even that exempt yourself from. Yes, start throwing that money into a kitty so that at the end of the year you can pay if we even have to, because hopefully look, if we don't get this thing under control shortly, it isn't going to matter how much you do. You're going to end up fighting this thing with guns if you don't fight it now peacefully. That's the truth. Anybody wants to sit there and deny otherwise, you can do that. There's only 3 courses of action that our path can take. 1, the first one is that we rise up and stop this thing right now while we have a chance to do that, peacefully, civilly, disobediently, and we take control of our government again. We do it within the confines of the Constitution, not through some long-winded Article 5 manipulation. I mean, I get that, but I have to tell you, I don't think we have the time. I'm in a quandary on the Convention of the States whole issue. But I can tell you this, by massive civil disobedience, we can beat this thing to the punch in a whole lot less time. And then have a Convention of the States when we can make sure that we're keeping the moneyed interests out. So your first option is we're either going to massively, civilly, disobediently take control of our government again. The second one is we're not going to do that, and we're going to go into abject slavery. And it won't be long before guys like me will no longer be on the radio, where guys like me will no longer be able to speak your piece, where you won't see books out there telling you what to do or talking about the abuse. You won't see the Ministry of Propaganda telling you. They already don't tell you. People like Schumer and Feinstein out there are trying to define who's a journalist so that they can take a guy like me and prosecute me for telling you the truth. So 1, we solve it ourselves by grabbing the reins and massively, civilly, disobediently changing the course by taking those in power and removing them and replacing an appropriate group of individuals under our Constitution who have pre-agreed to be qualified and have signed in advance a letter of resignation that if they do not hold to the contractual provisions of their candidacy, they don't have an option. They have already pre-resigned. 2, we can go into the darkness of slavery, whimpering, whining, crying, belly aching, and begging our master not to beat us again. And 3rd, some small group will get to point 2 and say, I'm following what our original founders said, and I'm going to water the tree of liberty with blood. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is a place we don't want to go. That won't be an open wound. It will be a mortal wound. And it will be one that will carry out, listen, if you think Afghanistan is bad, this thing would carry on in the United States of America for the next 50 years. We're still fighting the Civil War in the South, you knuckleheads. What makes you think this is going to be any better? And it's about the same crap, by the way, individual and 5th and 10th Amendment rights. No, it wasn't about slavery. Don't buy that hook, line, and sinker garbage you've been fed. Go do your homework. It was about states' rights and the ability for them to have their own destiny. The truth is, you better prepare yourself. And you better prepare yourself properly, because no matter what, there is going to be trouble. No matter what, there's going to be discomfort. No matter what, there's going to be hunger. No matter what, there's going to be cold. No matter what, there's going to be fear. The question is, are you going to feel all of that handcuffed, or are you going to feel all of that as a free man, as a free woman, as a warrior for your nation, for your family, for your community, for your republic? We can starve the beast into submission while simultaneously having in place a group of individuals pre-qualified, pre-vetted, pre-contracted to step into place. And when they evince the same type of oppression or tyranny that the current crop in Washington and your state capitals have accomplished, we've already got a pre-signed resignation letter from them in hand. Liquidated damages under the contract that say, if I violate any aspect of the Constitution, I am summarily removed from office. You don't have to ask for my resignation. You just grab me by the collar, yank me back to unemployment. Where's the Libertarian Party? Where's the Constitution Party? Where's the Tea Party now? That's what you all should be doing. Work it out. Work on the constitutional contract. The contract, not with America, but with our Constitution. You got to prepare yourselves for trouble, discomfort, hunger, cold, and fear. The question is, will you be standing there as a free man? Or will you be huddled, discomfortable or uncomfortable, hungry, cold, and fearful? I've outlined all of it in this article. The plan to take back America, place all state and federal capitals under civil disobedience siege. You can find it on americasvoicenow.org. I mean, look, I'm not saying that I'm some great oracle of the ages. I'm just saying that if we don't start somewhere, then all is lost. And I'm not living in a world like that. I'm not going to subject my kid to live in a world like that. The goals are real simple. Bring this country back to some level of true constitutional governance, where self-governance by the individual is the rule, and government, federal government, is microscopic in its impact on our lives, and federal and state governments are miniature in their impact on our lives. That's what our founders envisioned. And frankly, that was the whole principle upon which we started this endeavor. But mission creep has allowed the entire concept to be flipped upside down. Now government dictates everything to you, and you are fearful to speak out. Well, I remind you of the quote from Jefferson, in which he says, a government that fears the people is liberty. A government where the people fear government is tyranny. If you are fearful, then you are admittedly in tyranny. If that is in fact the case, and you have accepted the reality that we are living in tyranny, then the duty is yours to do something about it. I grant you, according to our declaration, we shouldn't change government for light and transient cause. But I got to tell you, this is not light and transient cause. I end this article. I'm going to post it on the bottom of the link for this. If you're watching this on YouTube, the article is out there. It's right in the description section of the show. Just click on the link and you can go to the website to see it. I've read this quote to you before many times, but I'm telling you right now, I can't say it enough. Still, if you will not fight for the right when you can easily win without bloodshed, if you will not fight when your victory will be sure and not too costly, you may come to the time and the moment when you will have to fight with all the odds against you and only a precarious chance of survival. There may even be a worse case. You may have to fight when there is no hope of victory, because it is better to perish than live as slaves. Counselor, Your Honor, I rest my case. You've been listening to America's Voice Now. My name is Michael Evans. I'm your host. You can find us at americasvoicenow.org, facebook.com/America's Voice Now, youtube.com/America's Voice Now. Please email me on any of these topics that we talk about. I invite you and encourage you to do that. You can email me at mike@americasvoicenow.org. You're more than welcome to send me your thoughts and opinions on these stories and articles and stuff that we do. I want to hear your feedback, so send them to me. I'll even read them on the air. All right, we're wrapped for the day. americasvoicenow.org. We will see you tomorrow morning. Have a great day, America.